Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite MMA sports betting channel, Bros Talk MMA. I'm your host, Whittaker, undeniably the illest cat around, a.k.a. Mr. Make This Pick Real Quick, a.k.a. the Parlay Prince, neither of which apply to me as of last week, but we'll get into that here in a little while. I'm here with my co-host, bro host extraordinaire.
It's Ray Bucks. It's Michael Jordan. Unfortunately, it's not Mr. Hand Me My Belt, Give Me My Crown, or any of the other monikers, because last week was a bloodbath.
Killing spree.
I mean, you gotta call it how it is, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
We got our asses whooped last week. We'll go into that, though, at a later part of the show. Right now, we're here to cover this weekend's, I guess you want to call it like a premium event of sorts. It's not quite a fight night because I would say the star power is a little higher than that, but it's not quite a pay-per-view. So we got this weekend's card taking place in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be Robert Whittaker going up against last-minute replacement Ikram Aliskerov in to replace Khamzat Chimaev. It's going down this weekend. It's going to be super early. I think this is going to be like at least mountain time here is going to be like a 10 a.m. fight card. So these ones are going to be early. We're here to cover them, give you our picks and predictions. I believe now with a last-minute cancellation, and I'm not sure if they're going to get that fight rebooked for Dennis Tululin, but right now his fight against Cedricus Dumas is out. So I believe we have an 11-fight card on this one. So we're going to start in the bantamweight division. I believe that this is a road to UFC tournament bout. We got Xiao going up against Chang Li. We got Xiao coming in. It's their UFC debut. I guess you could call it that. Maybe not. It's taking place on a UFC card, but I think it's still like a road to UFC bout. So I don't know. So I guess I'm going to say that they're making their UFC debuts. We got Xiao coming in at 26-8 overall. 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Holy making their UFC debut as well. 9-1 overall. And 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'll be going with Holy in this fight. I just believe they're a more dangerous fighter. On paper, at least, that is. I haven't really gotten to see much tape on these guys, and I'm sure it's out there. I just haven't taken the time to watch it, so, shame on me. But, I do believe that they should, may not be, like, as good a grappler as Xiao, but they should at least present some decent defense, and they'll definitely have the hands there. Xiao, they're just, I don't know. They're going to be the younger fighter, but at this point in their career, it just seems like all their fights are going the distance. Couple of splitties in there. They got good grappling, but I'm just not sure if they're UFC caliber, and we'll find out on Saturday. So I'll be going with Holy, though.
I'm glad I agree with you on Hope.
I've got hoes. I've got hoes.
Anyway, I'm going with Hope. I think, to your point, Xiao he does go to decision. And Ho's a finisher. Holy's a finisher. So I like Holy in this one. He's a live dog in this one, so I think, you know what I mean, it's a very close one, right? We're not talking about a heavy favorite or a heavy underdog by any means. So the odds maker right now have it as a coin flip with the edge going to Xiao. So I pick Lee this one. Make a little bit of money.
I mean, if you're a hoe and you ain't a finisher, you're definitely in the wrong.
You're a terrible hoe. Absolutely.
Oh, shit. Moving on to a light heavyweight bout. We got Magomedov Gadzhiyasulov going up against Brendson Ribeiro. Let's see here. We got Magomedov making their UFC debut. They're 8-0 overall. And then we got Ribeiro 0-2 in the UFC, 15-6-1 overall with 1 no contest. 3-2 in their last five fights. I'm gonna be going with Gadzhiyasulov. I just believe they got more routes to victory. Edge in the grappling. They're gonna want to strike, and they can go the 3 rounds, but and they should have better cardio. But I guess my only concern with this is it's their UFC debut, so you just never know how cats perform under the bright lights. You got Ribeiro. He has power. He's gonna be the younger fighter by a few years, but he's primarily a striker. Doesn't really have much ground game going up against a Magomedov, Gadzhiyasulov. I mean, it says that he fights out of Bahrain, but he's definitely training, with Dagestani fighters, so he's definitely going to have the wrestling. But yeah, I'll be going with Gadzhiyasulov.
I think Gadzhiyasulov is a great pick. He's undefeated. You know how I love an undefeated fighter.
Perfect.
There's no blueprint to beat him. He's also the heavy favorite at a minus 470 right now, or as I'm looking at it. I think this one is an easy no-brainer. My only issue is it's been a little bit longer since Zulov fought than it has been for his opponent. And but his opponent was I believe knocked out his last fight. So, you know what I mean? It's not that big a deal for me. Was he hammer fist to the face? So yeah. I think we're good at Gadzhiyasulov, and you know what I mean? I love fighters that their name ends in a V, right?
Yeah.
You're generally not gonna go wrong with that.
Smash.
Yeah, like I said, just the debut concerns me, but I mean, right now, typical, Dagestani fighter, heavy wrestler, but can strike. This guy can strike, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so moving on, we have a bantamweight bout between Muin Gafurov going up against Kang. We got Gafurov coming in. They're 0-2 in the UFC, 18-6 overall, and 2-3 in their last 5 fights. We got Kang. They're 8-4 in the UFC, 19-10 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. I'm gonna be going with Kang in this fight. I just believe that they're more experienced. They're gonna have the edge in grappling if they choose to take it that route. They'll be the more technical striker of the two, but they're definitely not gonna have the power. They've shown to have a durable chin. I would say that their cardio really is the concern going into this bout here. But they are facing somebody who has equally or worse, cardio than them with Gafurov. Thing is that Gafurov will be the powerful striker of the two, so he could, potentially end this fight. He can grapple as well if he chooses to take it that route. But once again, poor cardio, and they've also shown most recently with their last fight some poor fight IQ. I'm gonna be going with Kang. You got Kang or Gafurov in this one?
I gotta say, this hoe is a no-go. Gotta go with
It's definitely not a finisher.
Definitely not a finisher. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, for sure. Gafurov is my guy. Gafurov, I think, has shown decent fight IQ. I think he has a few more routes to victory. I think he doesn't have as much experience in the UFC as Kang does. But I think he's been dealt a tough hand. I mean, he ran into some fucking killers for his first 2 UFC fights. One being Castaneda, the second one being Said Magomedov. I mean, what shittier fucking set of cards can you get walking in the door? That's pretty brutal. I think he lost one by submission, which was his last one. The other one was a unanimous decision. Going to a full 3 rounds with John Castaneda, I think speaks to his ability to stay in the fight and just to his heart. So I think this might be a little bit of an easier fight for him to take on, and I don't see a reason why he loses it.
All right. Well, may the best pick win in that case.
Yes, sir.
For sure. Moving on, we have a welterweight bout. We got Rinat Fakhretdinov going up against Nicolas Dalby. We got Fakhretdinov. They are 3-0 with 1 draw in the UFC. 22-2 with that 1 draw overall. They're on a 17-fight win streak leading up to that draw. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's still intact. I'm not sure because they didn't lose the fight, but they didn't win it either. We got Dalby. They're 7-3-1 draw as well in the UFC, making them 23-4 with that 1 draw overall. And they're 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to actually be going with Dalby in this one. I just believe that they got way more UFC experience and are super durable. So if they're able to withstand that, first round and a half, it's definitely been shown that Fakhretdinov can start to fade as the fight goes on. And Dalby is the kind of dog fighter who can withstand that storm, start to take Fakhretdinov into those deep waters, possibly in the fight, late 3rd round, or just, really start to piece him up, maybe take over in that 2nd round, still a 3rd round, and, give Fakhretdinov, his first, legitimate loss here in some time. I'm going to be going with Dalby. Who you got?
I think you're not necessarily off with your with what you're saying, but I just can't go with Dalby because he's 39 years old. He's Fakhretdinov, again, another dude, name ends in B. I just don't see how Dalby is going to keep the pace in that 1st and 2nd round. I don't think we make it too far out of that 1st or 2nd round. So yeah, if I think you're right. If Dalby is able to take him into the later rounds, into the 2nd or even into the 3rd round, it becomes more of a puncher's chance kind of fight. Mm-hmm. But I think my guy was going to get it done fairly early, and so we're not going to have to really worry about that. I know it's gonna. The rest of this card's gonna get rough, folks.
All right, so moving on to a featherweight bout, we got Muhammad Naimov going up against short notice replacement Felipe Lima. It was gonna be Naimov going up against Milsik Bagdasaryan, which would have been a really dope fight, but looks like we got Lima coming in on this one. But we'll start with Naimov. They are 3-0 in the UFC, 11-2 overall. And they are currently on a 6-fight win streak. You got Lima coming in, making their UFC debut on short notice. Again, just want to note that. 12-1 overall, and they are currently on a 12-fight win streak, being that their first loss was their first fight professionally, and since then they've rang off 12 straight. So I'm actually going to be going with Lima in this fight. It appears that they have the better cardio, and if they can avoid the power of Naimov, they should be able to point themselves to a decision. I'm not going to say necessarily they have finishing capabilities. I just don't know if they'll be able to put away Naimov. Naimov's going to have some good cardio, good chin. So there's also the concern of whether or not Lima moving up 10 pounds in weight. They usually fight at bantamweight. It's yet to be seen whether or not them moving up that extra 10 pounds, whether that's going to be beneficial for them, or if it could be a out of shape 10 pounds that, they're, tired early, labored, carrying, more weight than what they're used to. We'll have to see that. But, like I said, Naimov definitely is the more dangerous fighter in terms of striking. They can grapple, but, it just depends on whether or not Lima is coming in, in shape, out of shape. I'm still going to go with Lima, though. I feel like they're going to present a different kind of challenge than what Naimov was preparing for. So, yeah, I'll be going with Lima. You got Lima or
I got Naimov. I got Naimov because, again, short notice opponent. I don't like that for Lima. He's moving up 10 pounds from where he normally fights at. I don't like that. Naimov has 3 fights in the UFC. Naimov's name ends in a V.
Smash.
Naimov is going to win. He's 11-2. With 3 of those being UFC wins, I believe. Let me double check that. Make sure I'm right.
3-0 in the UFC.
But he's 3-0 in the UFC. This guy has never stepped in the bright lights, never been in the octagon. You know what I mean? Of course, there's a lot of respect for him for jumping in on a short notice fight. You know what I mean? Keep the card full. And well, as full as it can be, because I think it's still only 11 fights at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So good on him. Obviously, Daddy Dana.
Whoa there, bud.
Take care of him. You know what I mean? For future fights or whatever. But other than that, I don't see him winning this one.
All right. Moving on, we have a lightweight bout between Nasrat Haqparast going up against Jared Gordon. We got Haqparast coming in 8-4 in the UFC, 16-5 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Gordon. They are 8-5 and 1 no contest in the UFC. Bringing them to a 26 and 1 no contest overall. They are also 2-2 with 1 no contest in their last 5 fights. I'm going with Gordon. I just feel like they're the more well-rounded fighter. They got great cardio. Chin has held up over the past 4 years since the last time they were actually KO'd. They're a dog fighter. They're okay in the striking and grappling enough so to just hold their own. I would say that, the edge in striking goes to Haqparast, which would, be my only concern. But Haqparast is shown to just have some pretty bad cardio, and their ground game isn't great. They definitely, have some defense, that they can do early on to try to keep the fight on the feet. But as the fight wears on, they start to tire, and then those takedowns become easier. And Gordon's going to be able to go for all 3 rounds. I'll be going with Gordon to, I would say, probably point out Haqparast in this one.
Yes, if it goes the distance, if it goes all 3 rounds, then I think Gordon takes this fight. Gordon's not my pick. Flash Gordon is going to be Flash KO'd. He's not going to make it. Haqparast, how are you? You know what I mean? That dude, Haqparast. Haqparast, just is a all or nothing fighter. He's going to come out like an animal. He's going to be throwing strikes super heavy in the first and the second, early in the second round. And he's going to get worn out. If we get into that late second, you'll start to see the effects. If we get into the third, it's going to be real rough. I just don't think we're going to make it out of the second round. I really think he's going to put it on him in that first round. Obviously, he'll try to weather the storm. But that's the thing, is in that second round, you can't just weather the storm. I mean, you can weather the storm for the first part of it, and you're hoping that he slows down, and you're hoping that at that point you're able to take over the fight. But now you're taking into a fight where one judge can change the decision, and you may not win. So I think Haqparast has this. I'm taking him. I say second round KO as my bet.
All right. Moving on, we have a light heavyweight bout. We got Johnny Walker going up against Volkan Oezdemir. We got Walker coming in 7-5 in the UFC, 21-8 overall, and they are 3-1 with 1 no contest in their last 5 fights. We got Oezdemir coming in 7-6 in the UFC, 19-7 overall, and 2-3 in their last 5 fights. I'm gonna be going with Oezdemir in this fight. I just think that they're the cleaner striker and potentially the more powerful striker. I would say in terms of like just pure punching. Walker is definitely a dangerous striker. Can in the fight from different types of striking and usually kind of like I guess unorthodox abstract strikes that just flying knees, things of that nature. I would say in terms of just being a pure puncher, not necessarily like that. I would say that even more so now, Walker is become more of like he fights not to lose. Is trying to be more of a controlled striker. So it kind of just makes for boring fights. And his chin is not in a good way right now these days. I would say maybe cardio is a concern with Oezdemir, just being, a heavier fighter, things like that. This goes into the 3rd round. We could see some, sloppy striking, more like labored actions from both these fighters. But I just think that which Walker can grapple, but I feel like this fight's going to take place primarily on the feet, and I'm going to have to give the edge to Oezdemir in that regard. So I'll probably say Oezdemir either by like KO or they could, point out a good fight that turns kind of sloppy over 3 rounds if it goes to decision.
First of all, let me just say, Johnny Walker, your brother sucks, bro.
Bruh.
Like,
Do you have a point?
Volkmer, what is this fucking Voltar?
Okay.
Volter.
Let's move on.
Walter. Fucking Walker. Bro, you had your last name, so I'm like, oh man. Like, all right, this guy, and he looks like a monster, and I'm like, yeah, I got to bet on this dude. That dude sucks, bro. Lost me money. Like, not a bunch of money, but enough that I don't like him. But I based him off your name. And I am picking you, I will say that. He has speedier striking. He's the faster of the 2 opponents. I think he has a better angles of the 2 opponents. Like you said, a more unorthodox style out of the 2 opponents. Cardio.
If he chooses to fight that way.
If he chooses to fight that way, and I do understand that. But I think he's gonna win. I absolutely believe he's gonna win. It's just which Johnny Walker is gonna show up.
Yeah.
The Johnny Walker, like you said, who fights not to lose, or the Johnny Walker who runs across the cage and throws a flying knee within the first 3 seconds of the fight.
I mean, that could all still happen. It could come out, guns blazing, and then fucking just start to clam up.
Sure. I think this Johnny Walker is hungry. I think he's ready. I think he is going to put it on Volkan Oezdemir. I think he edges him out in the cardio, not crazily, but I think he's got an extra minute or 2 in him that Oezdemir doesn't have, which obviously that's a big deal. So I take Johnny Walker early 3rd.
All right. Okay, folks, moving on to a very, 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 very short notice bout change. We got a middleweight bout between Shara Magomedov going up against Antonio Trocoli. This fight was originally supposed to be Magomedov going up against Joelton Lutterbuck from Brazil. But now they just replaced one Brazilian with another. So we got Trocoli coming in, who was actually supposed to fight, I want to say, was it Ikram? I think he was actually supposed to fight Ikram Aliskerov on last week's bout. But because Chimaev fell out of this week's card, they had to take Ikram off of that, put him on to this card, and then I guess that just left Trocoli out in the, just in limbo. And then you got Joelton Lauterbach apparently failed their urine test. So they got scrapped, and then they bring in Trocoli, who was just, waiting in the wings. So, hey, fucking fight game is crazy. So anyways, we got Magomedov coming in 1-0 in the UFC, 12-0 overall, and they're on a 17-fight win streak. The 5 fights excluded from his record that he also won, these were like modified MMA rules fights. I'm guessing somewhere overseas. Just not traditional MMA rules. I guess that would be recognized by, our fight commissions, and stuff like that. So, just that's a note. Going up against Trocoli. Trocoli's going to be making their UFC debut. I guess this will be their second attempt at making their UFC debut now at this point. They're 12-3 overall, and they're 3-2 in their last 5 fights. Originally, I was going to go with Lutterbuck in this fight. I just felt like he had more experience. Even though he was making his UFC debut, he was coming in with a ton of experience. 38-10 just on mixed martial arts alone. And then he had a bunch of other fights spread across multiple, combat, I guess, practices or combat, I guess, promotions. So, yeah, I was going to go with him, but now I got to switch my pick over to Magomedov. I just believe that they'll have the edge in striking in this fight and are really good off of their back if Trocoli was to somehow take this to the ground, which I don't believe he's going to do. I think he's going to want to keep this standing. And in that regard, I would definitely say the edge goes to Magomedov. Maybe Trocoli has a power advantage, but Magomedov is definitely just a more dangerous striker of the two. Definitely going to have a lot of pressure. He could possibly fade over the course of this fight, depending on if this fight goes all 3 rounds. Like I said, going against Lauterbach, I wasn't necessarily sold on him, but I think that I could definitely back him in this fight. I could see him ending this fight or just, winning a point battle similar to how he did in his debut bout. And some of that fight he actually spent on his back, but he was nonstop with actually defending himself from that position and actually landing strikes and kind of beating up Bruno Silva from that position. So yeah, once again, he could potentially finish this fight or just win a point battle. Magomedov. Blushing.
Excuse me. Yeah, Magomedov's gonna win this. This is an easy one. Homeboy showing up on less than a week notice. Again, much respect. Glad he's doing it. To keep the fight card cool or fight card full. Magomedov. Name ends in a V.
Smash.
From that Eastern Bloc, undefeated, a monster. There's no reason. Oh, in addition to that, Antonio Trocoli, he's dropping like 15 pounds to get into this fight on short notice. That's a big deal. 15 pounds is no joke. I mean, I know most of it's going to be water weight, but that's not an easy task. So I'm not sure how drained he will be when he gets in the fight. So I gotta go Magomedov, or Magomedov. Sorry, I want to add the "ner" in there somewhere. But yeah, that's it. That's my pick. Easy enough.
For sure. All right, moving on. We got a welterweight bout. We got Kelvin Gastelum going up against Daniel Rodriguez. We got Gastelum coming in 12-9 in the UFC, 18-9 overall, and 2-3 in their last 5 fights. We got Rodriguez coming in 7-3 in the UFC, 17-4 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. I'm gonna be going with Daniel Rodriguez in this one. I just believe that they're gonna be the cleaner striker of the two. They're gonna have the better cardio as well, which I think will lead them to most likely winning a point fight against Gastelum. I don't think that Rodriguez is gonna be able to chin Gastelum, but I do believe that they're just gonna have cleaner striking, and I just kind of feel like the game has kind of like passed Gastelum at this point. He can wrestle, but chooses not to most of the time. And he's never been KO'd. So like I said, this is most likely going to be a 3-round fight. Gastelum does have knockout power, but I don't know. I just feel like his cardio starts to wear on him after a while, especially going into the later rounds. And he just starts to become sloppy, just looking for big winging shots to, put his opponent down. So I'll be going with Rodriguez to win like a point decision.
Well, I can't agree with you. You know what I mean? It's going to be another one of those fights. I got to go Gastelum. Gastelum's fought within the last 6 months. D-Rod hasn't fought in an entire year. A year and a month to be exact. You say you kind of favor the striking on D-Rod's side. I can see that. I don't think you're necessarily wrong that he has a little bit better striking, but I just think that Gastelum has a little bit, a few more routes to victory.
Chooses to take it.
If he chooses to take it, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
He looked like he never grappled a day in his life against fucking Sean Brady in his last fight. I think I may have picked him to win because I thought, Brady would be poking the bear in a sense. Like, like there's a reason. Like this guy, he's good at wrestling and has just fallen in love with, knocking motherfuckers out. But don't act like he can't wrestle. Mm-hmm. And then that fight proved that, maybe he's gotten too far away from his wrestling. I don't know. That shit look bad. That's what I'm saying.
I can agree. I think this is going to be a better fight than what the odds makers have it as. Having Gastelum as a -240 versus a +190. I think it's far closer than that, but I still got to go on the side of Gastelum. Because again, he's been the more recent fighter, and I think he's going to be able to take down D-Rod for sure.
Moving on to the co-main event, we have a heavyweight bout between Sergei Pavlovich going up against Alexander Volkov. We got Pavlovich coming in 6-2 in the UFC, 18-2 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Volkov coming in 11-4 in the UFC, 37-10 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. One thing I want to note that I got this piece of information from Jacob with We Want Picks. Shout out those guys.
Thanks, buddy.
These two are pretty close training partners and friends. And the only reason that this fight is taking place is because Volkov, I guess, contractually has turned down too many fights leading up to this one. So he's basically being forced to fight Pavlovich because right now I'm guessing there's not a lot of heavyweights, being matched up right now who aren't already. So Basically just process of elimination. These two find each other, having to fight each other, and I'm guessing they really don't want to. So the only reason I'm going to go with Volkov in this fight is because he actually has like submissions on record, proving that, you know, he can exercise a ground game if necessary against Pavlovich. If we're talking about just straight striking, it's kind of a toss-up. You got Volkov, who's a super experienced kickboxer, you know, fucking striker extraordinaire. Going up against Pavlovich, who's fucking this dude fucking just, you know, boom, knock you the fuck out kind of power. So it's got kind of a toss-up in that regard. So I would say that Volkov, just because technically has more routes to victory, I'm going to go with him. But really, I feel like this fight's going to be weird. I think it's going to be a weird fight when you got guys who don't want to face each other going up against each other. I just don't know how that's going to play out. If they're going to be able to just put friendship aside and just it's all business once we get into the cage, or if it's like we've trained together. I know what's going to happen, so we could potentially actually see a good fight because these guys actually know each other's strong points and weaknesses. Or I don't know what the fuck we're going to get from this, but let's say Pavlovich knocks Volkov to the ground and then is trying to, you know, maybe finish the fight there. Volkov, you know, springs something up, could potentially, you know, sub him. That's the only thing I can think that could take place. Really weird circumstances going with Volkov.
So I gotta disagree with you here. I like Sergei Pavlovich on this one. I know you gave me the little tidbit about they've been training partners, and maybe they don't obviously want to fight each other, but Volkov has to maintain his MMA career with the UFC, right? But I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory. It's not based on anything. It's not based on any knowledge that I have. But my thought is Volkov has had such a long MMA career, and Sergei Pavlovich has had a shorter MMA career. So why wouldn't he just give it to the younger fighter, knowing that he's possibly on his way out? You know what I mean? It's just as far as like aging out. Where Sergei is 3 years younger, you know what I mean? He could still make a run for you know what I mean? A title defense, or not a title defense, but I mean a title shot. So that's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, all drummed up in my own mind. But it just is a weird fight. Again, I wouldn't bet heavy on it because of that weird. They train in the same gym and they're getting ready to fight each other.
I don't know about that. They probably opted to go to different training facilities and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do have different training facilities, but they've trained together. They're friends. They've avoided this fight for so long, and now they're having to do it. Mm-hmm. So that being said, I go with Sergei. Again, I don't put too much, you know what I mean, heat on this fight. I'm not saying it's not going to be a good fight. Not saying that they're not going to go out there and one of them's not going to leave on their shield. But it's just a little weird for me. You know what I mean? When you guys are training partners and homies and whatever, and all of a sudden you got to fight. Some people, cool, we can fight to the death, and you know what I mean? We can hug it out afterwards. I know a lot of MMA fighters are like that. Some people are, you know what I mean? I don't want to say somebody's going to take a fall, but I think there's a possibility. So, yeah, Sergei. But again, not a lot of sauce on this fight.
I feel you. All right. Moving on to the main event of the evening. We got Robert Whittaker going up against another last-minute replacement in Ikram Aliskerov. I touched on this a little bit in the Shara Magomedov Antonio Trocoli fight. So originally Ikram was scheduled to face Trocoli, and due to Kazmat Chimaev having to bow out of this fight, they opted to scrap the co-main event of last week's card, which would have been Aliskerov versus Trocoli. Took Aliskerov and bumped him up to the main event of this fight against Robert Whittaker, which I guess is a result of multiple fighters turning this fight down for, how many, ever reasons. And, Aliskerov ended up getting his card drawn next. And he was able to say, hey, no, it's cool. I'll put off fighting for another week to get this opportunity. And now he's facing a top 5, easily top 10 middleweight right now. So this can bump him straight into title contention if he's able to pull this off. So we got Whittaker coming in at 16-5 in the UFC, 25-7 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Aliskerov 2-0 in the UFC, 15-1 overall, and they're currently on a 7-fight. They're currently on a 7-fight win streak. I'm actually gonna go with Aliskerov in this fight. I actually think that they are as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than Khamzat Chimaev. I feel like you kind of know what Chimaev's gonna do. He definitely has good hands, but he's definitely a grappler, as well. So there would have been a lot for Whittaker to deal with in that regard. You got Aliskerov, who actually, according to Chimaev, is his toughest opponent that he's ever faced, even though he finished him in the first round, which I think is crazy. But, I watched some footage of that fight, and Ikram's grappling defense against Chimaev was fucking ill. So, I'm going to be going with Aliskerov. I feel like they're the more dangerous fighter of them and Whittaker on the feet. More well-rounded as well of the two. They're going to have good ground defense, which I just talked about. And their cardio, I think, is going to truly be tested in this fight. Whittaker's a seasoned title fighter, main eventer, so he's used to fighting 5 rounds. He's definitely going to have the cardio. He's definitely going to be that dog fighter who, if you let him stick around long enough, he'll, start to take over the fight, especially going into those later rounds. But I do believe he's been a little bit inconsistent lately, and his chin is starting to show, a little bit of wear and tear. So I'm going to be going with Aliskerov in this fight. I feel like he's kind of like a sniper type striker. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight, actually. I think it's just as good, if not better, than the Chimaev fight.
This is a great fight. Robert Whittaker is an amazing striker, an assassin on the feet. But that being said, Ikram Aliskerov is a Dagestani wrestler. It's just tough. These dudes train 7 days a week. These dudes are always on it. Like, there's no days off. I know you're looking it up and it's saying in Russia, but we know.
I know. I just wanted to make sure, sometimes, you just don't want to do the whole beard, no mustache.
I get it. Yeah. But, you know what I mean? And there's not too many people that have that kind of discipline. Robert Whittaker is talented, naturally talented, and a gifted athlete. Ikram Aliskerov is just a dog. He's just in the gym every day, no days off. I'm here to fucking, you know what I mean? I may not be the most talented. He's not the quickest out of these two in striking. He's not the most powerful out of these two in striking. He just works harder. In my opinion, than Robert Whittaker does at his craft. And that's why he'll win. Robert Whittaker is number 4 on the rankings. This guy's 17. This guy will now be in the top 5 after this fight.
All right. Well, that concludes our picks and predictions portion of this breakdown. Moving on into parlays. I guess as far as parlays, I'm just going to keep it simple this week. This is a weird card, and then you got all these, last-minute replacements and things like that. So I'm going to keep it simple with a little 3-piece parlay. I'm going to go with Oezdemir, Magomedov, and Aliskerov for my 3-pick. I'm not even going to go spicy with it. I don't see anybody that I would even want to make a spicy pick on this card. So I'm just going to go with a simple little 3-picker. Given last week's craziness, we're just going to, start humbly and then build off that.
I feel you. I think I'm going to do a 3-picker. I'm going to go with Gafurov, Naimov, Magomedov. And I'm going to leave it at that because, again, you got those 2 short notice fights in there. And Gafurov, I think, is going to win. Goddamn, I'm about to sneeze right now, too. That's where I'm at. I think real easy one. No spicies this week. Because, I don't want nobody betting money that's, I don't really believe in.
But that Gafurov and Naimov, they would call that the Tajiki special. They're from Tajikistan.
That's, okay.
So,
that's weird.
I think they're like the only 2 fighters representing that country. So,
nice.
But yeah, so that's it for parlays. You know what it is, DraftKings. We definitely ain't doing no motherfucking lineups.
Absolutely not.
On this fucking card with how crazy shit is and how you guys operate. So I'm good. So yeah, let's just get to it. Last week was horrible. I went 5-6 on the card. Bro luckily was able to escape on the positive end. He was 6-5.
Hold up.
Wait, what? Yeah, it was horrible card. Did not go the way I had expected. We'll give you the graphics all right here. What happened? Where that leaves us all time wins and percentage wise. But yeah, bad card. Definitely didn't earn my monikers. But we're gonna bounce back this week. How you feeling?
I feel bad, right? Because I think I could have done better. I think there were some things I missed in my research. But that being said, I'm still 6-5. I'm still in the plus. You know what I mean? So you gotta respect that shit. Like, again, you know what I mean? Like.
Hey.
If I didn't lose, then y'all didn't lose. If you picked with me. Now maybe, you know what I mean? You didn't win what you wanted, or some of the odds threw you off a little bit, so you know what I mean? But if nothing else, you broke even. But more than likely, you won a little bit of money, depending on what you did. So that's where it's at. I don't know what the overalls are. I'm sure he'll put a graphic up here somewhere. To kind of let you know where that is. But we're still at like 60%. So, again, please let me know somebody that's 6 months into the season. You know what I mean? And is still picking at 60%, which is a winning average, which means that they've won 50-plus fights over just breaking even.
Yeah.
So, crazy numbers, crazy stats.
Great point.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I'm out here doing my best, and I'm only going to continue to get better, as well as my brother. He's out here doing his best. He's out here, you know what I mean, killing it. And
maybe my picks would be better because I got my glasses finally. I got some fucking, glasses.
Watch out, little bitch.
Now I can see out here. I'm not just wearing prescription sunglasses to get around and this broke ass pair.
What kind of glasses are those?
These some Sachi, some Fosachis?
You don't even know how to spell Fosachi.
Yeah, got me some eyewear, so, hopefully that helps. Maybe, help me read between the lines a little bit better. But, outside of that, just want to thank everybody, for watching. We appreciate y'all. Just like how bad our card was picking-wise last week, the views on that were kind of low. And you know what?
Maybe that's for the best. Like, people lose money, and you know what I mean? Like,
maybe
not
people
win as
knew
much.
something we didn't see.
Right? They were like,
oh, no.
I'm good.
I'm good.
That was a whack-ass card, though.
Yeah, it was.
So.
But yeah, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Like I said, once again, salute to everybody who's been watching. Make sure you follow us on IG at Bros Talk MMA. You can follow my bro here at r1.mason. And you can follow myself at Utica_SME. We'll be back, next week breaking down UFC 303. A whole bunch of wackiness behind that fucking card. Being saved once again by the legend in the making, fucking Alex Pereira. Going up against Yuri Prochazka in a rematch for the light heavyweight title. So we'll be back next week to break all that down. But until then, wishing you nothing but the best of luck on this card.
And also, we got one coming up in Colorado, just so y'all know. That's where we from. So we're not sure. We might do some funky shit.
We might actually have some extended content.
Right? For my mama Eunice. You know what I mean?
Bruh.
Y'all who know, y'all know.
Yeah, that's going to be real dope. All the fighters who, train in Colorado, plus a few, hometown representatives. That should be a good time for sure. But yeah, definitely. Like I said, happy betting. Wishing everybody nothing but luck this weekend. And until the next time, we out.